GNT show is intended for mature audiences. Parental discretion is advised. These are the voyages of the GNT show. Our continuing mission to explore Star Trek storytelling, to seek out new worlds and interesting characters, to boldly go where no show has gone before. Live long and prosper, bitches.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the G&T Show, episode 215. I'm Terry Lynn.
Joel on True, bitches. How are you? How you be? How you been? This is Gettysburg 7. There she is to my left, your right, wearing her T-shirt with the Colin Kaepernick with the circle with the line through it. It's Terry Lynn.
Poor Kaepernick. Oh well.
Yeah,
Yay, new quarterback.
And there he is to my right, your left, wearing, I don't know, it looks like it's made out of newspaper print. I can't tell what the hell that is because he's losing his mind with server issues. It's Ceridium. And also joining us, there she is.
That's the sound of me losing my mind, I guess. Good morning, everyone.
Nice. There she is, sitting across from us, wearing a beautiful studded gown with heels and a bowling shoes. I don't understand. Bowling shoes with heels. It's Jespa.
Hey, how you doing? I'm also administering medication to Ceridian, so if he, fades out every now and then, it's the drugs.
Thank God we finally have somebody that can take care of that. And also joining us, you'll notice there she is in her splendor with her ridges, her Wagner-like outfits. It's Jen Ucelis.
Nook-nach, bitches.
Nice.
Good morning.
Welcome.
Good morning.
Oh my gosh. Good morning. Good morning. Oh, I love Janet's voice.
So we have Janet, we have Jen, but the most important J of all is Jennifer Jones.
The coffee clutch is on, bitches. All right. So, no, I have not seen it yet. I will. So don't worry about that.
One thing you will not have to worry about, Terry.
Yeah.
It's not bloody or anything like that.
Okay. I had to say that Daredevil's great, but it was like
They cut away for all of the bloody parts.
Yeah.
Okay, I can deal with
leave
that.
To the imagination.
Okay.
I mean, I'm only a couple episodes in, and there's already been a pretty epic fight, so... Yeah.
The stunt work in it is amazing.
Yeah.
And it's very character driven.
Okay, well that's what I'm hearing is that everybody's like, oh my god, this is the way that television. And why don't we just jump into the conversation now while we have the opportunity and we have Jen and Janet here. Screw it. I mean, I worked this week. Mike, what'd you do?
Let's see.
Besides trying to save our site. Oh my god.
It's been up and down like all week.
I guess we should send out an apology to all of our listeners who have been trying to access our site. The fact of the matter is, we're just too damn popular. So thank you. That wonderful 24-hour show that we did a few weeks ago is actually going to help us get to a better server so you can actually access our site again. So thanks.
The plan is to upgrade the server next week while we're down for break. So hopefully by the time we come back from break, everything should be running at 100%.
Yeah.
Or actually less than 100% because the problem is
we're at 100%.
Like 700 or 800% capacity at the moment.
Nick,
oh boy.
Nick, what'd you do this week? Real quick.
Jennifer Jones.
Okay.
Jessica Jones?
Jessica, sorry.
Jennifer Jones.
Something else.
Jennifer Jones, isn't she
Jessica
a porn star?
Jones.
Okay, Jessica Jones. and Miss Jen, you've been entertaining friends over.
I have. They're actually part of the reason that I'm running out a little early today is because I haven't been entertaining them. So I have some friends in from out of town this weekend. Last weekend, I'm still recovering from attending WindyCon here in Chicago. And and I'm rehearsing for another show coming up.
Sweet. We'll talk about that in a few. And Miss Janet, you've been a busy lady too.
I have. Yes, I have. I've been writing Nano. Nano is I made my 50,000 words 2 days ago. Yay!
Congratulations.
Thank you, but the story's not done yet. So plenty more to go. Nick, Terry, Steve, and Mike are lawyers in my WIP. So
God help us
the
all.
courtroom scene, the courtroom scene has yet to be written. So I've got that to look forward to, among
That's
other
awesome.
things.
I'm excited. I saw some of the dialogue you gave, but I thought it was pretty fun. I can't wait to see it
Thank
or
you.
read the whole
Thank
thing.
you. Awesome.
Well, part of the reason I wanted to kind of get moving on this was because I do want to talk to Jen about the con, but also one of the things we were just talking about was Jessica Jones and this kind of weird instantaneous enlightenment that seems to be occurring across networks.
Grab the remote. Star Trek's on. Television news.
That whole, oh my God, we need quality script-driven television again, right? It's like in 3 weeks, it just turned around and said, well, we've got to do this. We've got to make this work, people. And Disney seems to be taking the lead with the Marvel stuff over at Netflix. Of course, Jessica Jones being everybody's new favorite show. And I haven't even seen an episode of it yet, but it's getting rave reviews. Then Mike Medeiros, you just posted in the chat room the picture from Chuck Lorre's vanity card that he tacks onto the end of all of his shows, mostly Big Bang Theory. Yep. And this vanity card says Chuck Lorre Productions number 509, RIP Network Television, 1948 to 2015. And I'm like, okay, wait. CBS recently announced it was bringing back the series Star Trek, but not for CBS Network, for a streaming video on-demand system called CBS All Access. In lieu of flowers, CBS has requested that mourners send them $6 a month.
Perfect.
Which I thought was absolutely perfect. But I am glad to see that even Chuck understands that network television is dead.
Oh yeah. I mean, everyone is starting to wake up and realize it. So earlier before in our pre-show, Robert Reyes, I believe it was Robert, might have been Matt, but someone had suggested the idea that the death of network television is happening sooner than what Star Trek report or suggested it would be 2040. It's not dead yet. It's the death throes are starting.
I said 10 years. I give it 10 years max.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Now, as I was watching episode 10...
My grandfather will be watching network television long before or long after that, Terry.
Don't know. Go ahead, Nick.
As I was watching episode 10 last night, I was thinking, okay, my entire Saturday has been laying in bed with Jessica Jones. Hey. And that's what I was saying. What could possibly be next? There's no way. Remember when I said what is the next evolution? We've got the binge watching now. What would be next?
Yeah, I don't know.
Putting it into my head.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I don't see that happening. Although I do have a lot of empty storage space.
I think it's going to be interactive. I think that they're going to create content where you will be a character, an integral part of the show. Talk about addictive, right? You'll go back and pay to be a part of a show, like an on-running soap opera. Yeah, I think that's going to be the future.
And I can already spend I can donate $15,000 or some crazy amount like that and get a walk-on role for Kinky Boots on Broadway. Cyndi Lauper's doing an Omaze campaign. So I mean, they did the same thing with the new Star Trek movie. It's donate to a charity, get a walk-on role. That's where we're at now. So
I love Cyndi Lauper.
Oh yeah, I do too. Well, the thing that really kind of instigated the penultimate ta-da this week with regards to this conversation was the announcement from, of all places, Sci-Fi Network that they are unrebranding. So
wait, I missed this. What?
Nobody really knows what that actually means.
They're kind of getting together and saying, yeah, for all intent and purposes, Sci-Fi's president of content or whatever came out and pretty much said, yeah, we fucked up. Not only did we fuck up big time. And we lost our core market when we rebranded to Sci-Fi and then decided to focus on reality television because it made us undifferentiated between Bravo and TLC and every other cable network out there. And so they are focusing on scripted science speculative fiction once more.
Oh, God.
Yep.
And have announced the series 400 Days with Brandon Ruth, which is
it's a film. It's not.
It's not a series. It is a film. You're right. Yeah. I apologize. But Brandon Ruth stars in. It's my understanding that 400 Days is a science fiction book that they have done a very serious.
It's currently an indie film,
and it's been making the festival route, has it not?
Yes, and it's been doing very, very well, and Sci-Fi Sci-Fi jumped on it and paid big bucks to get first dibs on it, and so they're like the article says, they're trying to go back to their roots. But again, they're still calling themselves Sci-Fi.
Well, yeah, they paid some money for that name, and we all know and love the person who sold it to them. So I hope they feel like they need to get their money's worth from it. And it's still, yeah, I thought it was really kind of interesting that all of a sudden. Oh, and then Disney came out this week. Where the article that came out, Mike, that I sent you from Fool.com about Disney's about Disney's move into
that was
the
last
streaming.
Week.
But there was another one. What was it?
I didn't see one.
Oh, rats! There was another one that they came out with Disney talking about moving forward with. It was actually a business article, right? I follow Disney, and one of those things that I always say is, in the idea of fair or full disclosure, I do own Disney stock. Alan and I do own Disney stock, so I actually watch the stock reports on Disney. And one of those things is Disney got downgraded this week, of all things. Go figure.
What?
Disney got no. Here's the thing. It just goes to show you how crazy, and I do mean absolutely bonkers, I think that economists are. I really think they're nuts. I think they're crazy. And that's just because they're so afraid of being sued. Talk about the people who hate risk, right? Are the people who are risking everything. They risk money on a daily basis and they hate risk. They downgraded Disney from buy to hold, okay? This isn't... As a stockholder, I'm like, yeah, big deal. I've been holding for 20 years. I'm cool with it. And it's all because
every guy's been holding. Never mind.
Whoa. And it's all because it's all because of ESPN. The fact of the matter is, ESPN has been losing viewers like bleeding from somebody who just got hit in the artery.
That's because they suck now.
Right. Well, it's also because the core market for entertainment right now, and once again, sorry boomers, but you are out of the picture, are millennials. And millennials are like, fuck cable, I'm going streaming.
Yep.
It's the millennials that got the Netflix. It's the millennials that have CBS All Access. They stream now. They don't have TVs. They are streaming. They live off their phones and tablets.
That's just it. Like, I mean, it's funny because I ditched cable over 10 years ago, and really all that was around at that point was Netflix. Mm-hmm. And I was broke. I was at a point where I had to make sacrifices, and I got rid of cable. And my friends all thought I was crazy. I mean, crazy.
Mm-hmm.
This was like a decade ago.
Friends.
But
Yeah.
and I'm like, you know what? I'm just at a point where like, if I can't get it on Netflix, I'm just not going to watch it. And like, if I really wanted to watch something, that I would go to one of my friends' houses that had cable because they were watching it too. And 10 years later, I still don't have cable. I pay for a really good streaming for really good internet.
Fast
Yep.
internet, yeah.
Yep.
And that's it. That's it. And then we add on our services a la carte that we want. And it just kills me that the cable companies are not offering their shit a la carte yet.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want 500 channels.
I hope
just
that's
want
coming.
like 2.
And here's the reason why we won't see it from a cable company. It's because they can't.
Right.
They can't. They're bound into this weird kind of package deal where it's
All or nothing.
it's all or nothing. They pay. That's just the way that they work with each one of these entertainment companies.
Right.
They are in a very dangerous situation right now because it's these entertainment companies that don't and will not need cable.
Right. Well, the minute that HBO started to offer, the minute that they made that announcement, I was like, this is a game-changing moment right here.
It is.
The minute that they got out of whatever contract it was that was making them beholden to the cable companies, because I really think, I'm sure that's what it was. The minute they were able to ditch that, I was like, we're about to see, this is it. This is the start of the downfall of cable.
Yeah.
So.
Well, a couple of years ago when Netflix announced it was going to be doing its own original series, I was like, oh, Arrested Development, that's cool. But, this is never going to work. It's Netflix. I don't see how they're going to be, now that they've like just blown the hell out of some stuff with, their studios are as good as HBO studios.
Yeah. And
not better.
Yeah, if not better. And entering into an agreement with Disney, Marvel, so the mouse, oh my God, wow.
Cable companies, if they're smart, what they should be doing is again following the Netflix model, or the Amazon model, whoever really established it, but creating their own content that will kind of lure people in.
Well,
I do have cable still. I do have cable.
So do we.
We only have it for one channel for my grandfather because he's so old school he can't watch anything else. And it's just for one channel.
Yeah.
That's it.
So here's the thing. If that one channel you had the ability to access using the streaming services, you'd dump cable in a heartbeat, wouldn't you?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
And
that's where it's going to come to.
We've been looking for ways to do it, but because
Mike,
of
can you get Slingbox?
I'm not sure.
So here, and what I think we're going to end up seeing is cable companies holding on to the entertainment companies that can't afford to operate their own streaming services. I think cable companies will be the streaming houses for. They'll be the middleman for those entertainment companies, for those channels, right? Where if you've got an independent channel or maybe some local news areas or local areas, they're just going to become that buffer where they're going to be the agency for that, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, and really, they should be moving to like Comcast, for instance, they do have a streaming side.
Yes,
but they need to focus more on it.
I agree.
Maybe even offer some original content, to kind of sort of entice people to remain. But
can you imagine the propaganda content coming out of Comcast? No, we don't suck. They're just gonna make a bunch of propaganda films about how cable companies are okay.
A show about tech support and showing how great they are.
Hello, IT. Did you turn the telephone on again?
Well, yes. I want to keep the show moving, and it was fun to talk about this again. I just thought it was really interesting considering that it's happening so quickly, and we've all been talking about it now for several years, and it's really starting to take off now, and I'm excited about it. I'm glad for Disney. I'm glad for Jessica Jones. I think this is it's great. It's wonderful hope after all of the years of us complaining about reality television. It's nice to see that there is now going to be an explosion of probably really high quality scripted television for us to watch again. So yay.
Amen.
So let's talk a little bit about conventions.
Yay!
Bye! convention news.
All right, Miss Jen, tell us.
You. Oh, okay. So last weekend I went to WindyCon here in Chicago. I failed in my mission to actually interview people.
That's
because,
okay.
But that's because I had wanted to kind of create a little something to like kick off for 2016, but I failed because there was so much Klingon stuff going on.
I saw some of the things you'd been posting. Oh my God, I didn't realize it was so expanded. And for a non-Trek con, that's pretty amazing.
Right. Well, one of the things that happened this year, we were supposed to have our annual Klingon Assault Group General Assembly in June. There's a convention locally here that was called DuckCon. It was a DuPage County thing, and DuckCon went under. And that convention, they went bankrupt. There was a whole bunch of reorganizing. It's pretty crazy. They insist that they're going to be back next year. We'll see if that really happens. But it was a small local convention, and they had all of that was like the local Klingon Assault Group's main con. We had all of our stuff there. Hey, does somebody have their speaker on in the background?
It might be me
bleeding through. So I was like, oh, that's throwing me off.
She was really Klingon there. Who has their speaker on?
Who's got their speaker on?
Airlock them.
Yeah. So that was where we did the bulk of our programming. And when that went under, we had to figure something else out. And WindyCon kind of swooped in and said, you just let us know what you want to do and we'll accommodate you, which was amazing. And it gave us time to kind of regroup and get all of our stuff out of the Duck on storage and things like that. So we held the Klingon General Assembly at WindyCon, which was really cool. And there were some big announcements. Our Thought Admiral retired, essentially, so we have a new Thought Admiral now. And we were able to do just a boatload of Klingon programming. There was, I performed on Friday night and kind of welcomed everybody to the convention with music. It was my first time being able to perform at a convention for the Pop Warrior Project, so that was amazing.
Congratulations!
Thank you. It was so much fun, and there was a bunch of video taken, but I haven't. It hasn't been uploaded yet, so we'll see. And then we had there was a language panel, a history of the Klingon Empire panel, a Klingon makeup panel, a Klingon weaponry panel. We had our big General Assembly thing, and then there was even another music group performing that did a song and that they translated into Klingon just for all of us performing. So it was pretty awesome.
Right on.
That is so great.
It was awesome. And oh man, Christopher Moore was there, like the author of Lamb. And yeah, I was excited. I did not get to see him. His panel was super early in the morning and I didn't know. But yeah, no, it was a good weekend. It was a lot of partying.
Cool. And I mean, this year at WindyCon, there was a lot of Klingon content. I kind of wish that some of the larger conventions would kind of adopt that as well. And I know Nick doesn't agree, but I think it would be a lot of fun, to see more Klingon type of content at some of these larger conventions.
That's very racist, and I mean that really. Just more Klingon content. Whoa, wow,
Well,
that's pretty fucking racist.
Klingon lives matter.
Yeah.
So do Romulans, but I don't see any Romulan.
#bully and lives matter. Terrible people.
Yeah.
No, I was going to take it a completely different direction and then realized it would start a conversation I really don't want to have. So we're just going to keep moving forward now.
Okay.
Good call. But yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. Next year, early in the year, so the press pass has been worked out. So I'll be at Capricorn. And the con chair for Capricorn was at WindyCon. And
Right on.
helped me with a whole other situation. And then I found out who she was later. And
Isn't that how it always happens?
she was amazing.
Is Capricorn a BSG con?
No, it's actually just it's another sci-fi convention. Fan
because I was
run.
thinking Capricorn.
No, it's another long-running local con. I think this is its 36th year here in Chicago. So when I ran into her, she told me that they'll actually have like nice interview times blocked out for me with all the guests of honor. So it should be really fun.
Sweet. Awesome.
Cool.
So what was your favorite part? I mean, how do I say that? Outside of all of the content that you got to do, did you get to do anything else? I mean, did you get to go out into the vendor room? What did you get to kind of...
I did. So there's this great guy. His name is Juan Martinez. He was there last year, and I went looking for him again this year. He makes these delightful little sculptures out of coins.
I remember you telling me about this one.
Yes, Chaos Art 666K is what he goes by on Facebook, and he goes to all kinds of conventions. And when he can, he gives appropriately made he gave like a little TARDIS that he made to Matt Smith, and like he makes things for people and brings them to them. And I got the most adorable little penny dragon. And I got to watch him make it this year, which was really cool. WindyCon actually has a really good vendor room, and they go out of their way to keep the pricing really low in their vendor room for tables to continue to attract really great vendors. So they get people who just there was one woman who made these absolutely beautiful leather masks. Another woman who did like a lot of like steampunk and sort of Mad Max kind of looking headpieces and stuff like that. And a lot of book dealers and things like that. It's a really good vendor room there. And then they have a really good art show as well. An art auction, which was just fantastic this year. They always have, and I love because there's always like the one room or the one part of the art show that's got a not for children like cloak around it, and then you open it up and it's just all like furry porn, which just always makes me laugh like every single time. It's a good one. It's a good local convention. They have a ton of programming. And I only went to the Klingon stuff this year because there was just so much of it. But they usually have a really good filk track as well, a lot of musicians. I purposefully wanted to keep my performance like on a sort of like off to the side. I didn't want to be on the big filk stage because it's acoustic, and I thought it'd be a lot more fun to keep it in like a smaller room, and it was, and I'm super glad I didn't push to be on the filk track. So
yeah,
and they have a really good masquerade, and I had built a new uniform for this convention for the Pop Warrior. So I'm hoping that in another week I'll get the pictures from they have a couple of professional photographers come in to take masquerade pictures. And they have backdrops and everything. So I'm hoping I get some really nice pictures of my new uniform in front of the backdrops.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. Very cool. We want to see them when you get them.
Yeah. Well, my new uniform looks so good, you guys.
Right on. Can't wait to see it.
Hey, well, that's all the news from WindyCon.
That's so awesome,
right
though.
On.
Thank you so much for popping in and joining us and telling us how it went. I know that you've got company coming, so
yes.
Go have fun and drink more beer for us, okay?
Oh my God, no more beer today. Awesome. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you,
darling.
Talk to you soon.
Thank you.
That was Jen Uselas. We love her so much. The Klingon Pop Warrior herself. Oh my gosh. So what? Mike, you've got the links.
User disconnected from your channel.
I haven't even looked at them yet.
Okay. Well, there's quite a bit, including in Ask Dayton.
Then why don't we do that now? Did Nick get it?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Let's do it.
This is Ask Dayton number 113.
Dear Dayton, I need your advice. Ask Dayton.
Dear Dayton, we've heard stories about your meme war with a certain member of G&T. Would you care to elaborate on it? What's the best meme you've exchanged? What's the worst? And have either of you used the nuclear option yet? Dayton's response. I've come to the conclusion that doing Ask Dayton thing is a lot like working for the CIA. You never really stop doing either, and just when you think you're out and safe and finally free to live a normal life away from the danger and intrigue, they pull you right back in. Anyway, yes, it's true. I've been known to engage in a friendly and occasionally competitive picture and internet meme exchanges with a member of the G&T show. I'm worried about outing this person and subjecting them to undue scrutiny and perhaps even persecution and online lynch mobs, so for security reasons, I'm going to refer to him by the alias Nick Minecci. Wait, shit, I misread my notes just then. Ah, well, fuck it. So what's the deal with this anyway? It's a bit of rude, sometimes crude, but ultimately harmless fun. The same way you don't watch an R-rated flick or porn while your kids are playing on the living room floor, so too do Nick and I periodically exchange jokes and pics with the sort we both feel are inappropriate for all audiences. Most of the stuff we pass back and forth is military themed, as we poke fun at the establishment we both love, while sometimes wanting to punch it in the balls. There are also diversions into various news items or current events, and the frequent pokes at pop culture fandom and the idiots in our midst. Psst, there really are a tremendous number of dumbass people walking around, you know. I mean, a lot. Just saying. Then there are all the Bill Cosby jokes we've been making, which really deserve their own category. I just thought of one of them. As you might imagine, the stakes can get high in a game like this when you're trying to out-meme the other person. You cast caution to the winds. You're wandering in the halls without a pass. You stick your judgment, good taste, common decency, and basic humanity in a lockbox. You're working without a helmet or a net. Nick even leaves his PT belt at home. Oh, you son of a bitch, I'll get you for that. That's when you know the shit is getting real. You go full Trump, by golly. Every once we take a break from that sort of silly shit, like when we find ourselves discussing the comedic stylings of Andrew Dice Clay, engaging in quote wars from favorite films, Midnight Rum like a motherfucker, y'all, and stammering and yammering back and forth while watching the same football game. Hey, you deal with your insomnia your way and leave us to do what works for us, alright? As for the so-called nuclear option, I actually had to seek clarification on this, and I received this reply. I suppose it could mean exchanged a meme that brought the meme battle to an abrupt end. Perhaps it was so bad it left the other speechless or pissed, the other off to the point where there is no way to respond to it. To me, it just seems like a fun way to describe the meme to end all memes. Something along those lines. Yeah, that happens every so often, but I'm not going to cite specific examples because, you know, ew. However, there have been times when the spirited back and forth will reach such a fevered pitch that one of us will cull some picture from an obscure corner of the dark web, or perhaps Satan's blog, and share it to the utter shock and even revulsion of the recipient. I don't know that either one of us is actually pissed off the other person. There have been times when the response to a particular picture is something along the lines of, dude, really? Really? Before we both sulk back to our respective corners. FYI, when I say one of us, I really mean Nick. So there's a peek into your secret meme wars. I've sat here for a couple of minutes trying to find a zinger line to close out this answer, and after careful consideration, I've come to the conclusion there is only one way to go here. And I will now post the meme in the chat room that he attached to the Ask Dayton.
Oh, you got access to it? Okay.
I'm the one that sent it to him originally.
Oh, God.
Oh, okay.
So, I'm now,
Oh, no. Funny.
okay. See, I have like several hundred of these.
He has to search for it in his.
No, I knew exactly where it was.
I
And it is now posted.
love that one.
Oh my. Well, now we know what they do
God,
in the
I
woods.
saw that one once, and I think you posted it on Facebook, Nick. Something
Yeah.
I roared for our listeners.
Thank
for our
you,
listeners.
Dayton.
Thank you, Dayton. For our listeners, it's a meme of a bear that's kind of spread eagle kind of thing. Actually, not really, but just these.
Looks like he's wearing very comfortable pants.
He does, and his feet are straight up in the air, and he's got his
Little bare hands.
his little bare hands down by his bare
anus.
butt, and it just says, "Look at my butthole. Look at it." I'm sorry, it's hilarious. That one I love. Thank you, Dayton.
Yes, thank you,
It was
sir.
good to
Thank you,
it was
Dayton.
good.
That was
It
fun.
was good to hear you via Nick again.
I actually found a meme, and it was sent to me by a woman who thought I would get a charge out of it. That was so offensive that I laughed so hard, and I haven't even. The only person I've shared it with is Dayton. Said, Boom! There you go.
Oh my God.
But let's just say there's been a run on Charlie Sheen memes.
Oh, I bet. Oh my God. Yeah, there is something to be said for shock humor. There really is.
Especially it'll be 8:00 at night. Dayton and I haven't chatted all day. Boom! I send one of these, and he's like, "Dude, oh my God."
It reminds me, the relationship that you have like that, it reminds me of the relationship I used to have with one of my former bosses. I mean, Alan will remember this. I used to come home from work when I worked at this one company, this one small company, when he and I first started dating, and my boss was a former coroner's investigator. And he found out that I wanted to be a coroner, or a coroner's investigator. He knew that I wanted to be one, and I had already left law enforcement by that point in my career, and so I kind of left that to that dream dissipated, but it never meant that I don't always have a love for it. And his daughters had prepared a binder of his entire career's cases. So every death scene he went to, he had photos of. And he used to booby trap my desk with the death scene photos. So I would open up my pencil drawer, and there'd be like a glossy 8x10 of a person in a pizza dough mixing machine or something. And
Nice.
Oh my God. You pay extra for that.
So I'd open up my pencil drawer and I'd be like, "Oh man, wow, holy crap!"
My favorites though are when I'll send Dayton a meme and get this in return. Dude, aren't you supposed to be at work? How are you doing? I'm like, I'm multitasking. It's like, I don't even know where at work you're coming across some of these. Well, part of my job is monitoring social media.
It's monitoring social media. That's
people
right.
leave funny memes as responses to, as comments to things people post. Occasionally there's one that must be shared.
Oh my God,
it was
too great. Look,
hearing Dayton, a response from Dayton again. It's been a while, and the little bit that he said at the beginning about being like the CIA, just when you thought you were in the clear, they suck you back in. Yeah, well,
one of these days we're actually gonna have to pay him for this,
That's a month.
So, if you have any questions for Ask Dayton,
I have a feeling it'll be a heavy bar tab in Las Vegas.
I'm sure we're okay with that. Send them to host@GNT Show, and we'll send them towards Dayton.
That's right.
So let's see. We have book news and we have gaming news.
Let's talk a little bit about gaming news.
I want to play a Star Trek game. Gaming news.
Okay, real quick, some timelines. They've announced Time Displaced Cisco, which is from the episode with the Tribbles where they go back in time. So they've revealed that version of Cisco as well as that version of Dax, and which I thought was pretty cool because Dax. Also, they've released a new video that shows how their starship battles for the game have evolved based on feedback from beta. So I'll share that video as well.
Cool. Well,
but we got quite a bit of news coming out of Stowe.
I was gonna say we do have a bunch of news coming out of Stowe, so let's get to that too. Yay! I've been in game almost every day this week, getting my Admiralty system running through. The new episode I played, and
Stormbound.
Thank you so much. And the reason why I was getting it confused is because it's very close to the name of the Enterprise episode,
Stormfront.
So I didn't want to mess it up. And there's a reason why it's kind of like that.
A good reason for
There's
that.
a good reason for that, and that is because they're freaking connected, man. We're gonna jump headlong, without a doubt, into the temporal Cold War, and
it's all our fault again.
It's pretty much all our fault. The reason why the temporal Cold War starts is because, man,
we were doing so well there at the end of the Iconian War. I mean,
Well, yeah, until we, so now we've pissed off two that Janet, you'll love this. You don't play the game, right? Oh, she's gone.
She may be out
She
for a
stepped
minute.
away.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, I was going to say we've pissed off. You don't play Star Trek Online, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Well, just so you know, in the game, we're now headlong into the Temporal Cold War, and our characters are actually kind of the reason why the Temporal Cold War starts.
We started it.
Oops.
We started that fire.
Yeah, oops is right. In the last sequence of the Iconian War, you solved the Iconian War, but in doing so, you essentially annihilate a species that really is the Sphere Builders.
They become the Sphere Builders.
That kind of sucks.
Yeah.
And in this week's episode,
you poke the bear, you're gonna get the claws.
Right. And in this week's episode, you are unable to. It's not that you do anything overt to hurt somebody. It's just that you're unable to help them, and they still blame you. And that is the species that they're called the Nakul.
Yeah, they're in the episode Stormfront, the Nazi, the Nazi alien. That species.
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah.
So they end up that species is part of your current world, your current universe in Star Trek Online. You are unable to assist them with something that happens to them that really is caused by the Tholians, but you take the blame for it. And so that's how you piss off the number 2 species that gets involved in the Temporal Cold War.
They blame once again. We are visited by Dono, and because he's a time traveler, they blame time travel for what happens.
Right.
So he doesn't really blame us. He blames the idea. They blame the idea of time travel, which is why they end up
pretty much jumping in with both feet. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
just say no to space Nazis.
Just say no to space Nazis. So it's really kind of interesting to see how the writers and the group over at Star Trek Online have used all of this wonderful shit and I'm not, when I watched Enterprise, I was never really a big fan of the idea of the Temporal Cold War, but
a lot of people weren't.
Yeah. But I have to say I've become much more intrigued by the idea because my character is so completely involved in it now in the game.
Yeah, and Stowe, I mean, they are, going full bore with it, which is great. And the references and callbacks to things that are happening in that series is just amazing. For instance, we find out let's see, there was that one episode where they find that one ship from the future that we realize it's Caldano's ship, and there's that unidentified body inside that's been dead for hundreds of years and etc. Well, we finally figure out what happened there.
Yeah, it's been really fun because Janet, the game has really been tying up some weird little loose ends,
yeah,
of Enterprise, and it's just been a hoot and a half to get in and go, oh my god, that was Caldano. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's great. That's great.
It really is.
It was a good premise, and I'm so glad somebody ran with it.
It's been. I know a lot of people. I have to admit though that the moment we see, I don't know if we ever will, but the moment we see fucking crewman Daniel show up in game is the day I'm gonna hunt him down and I'm gonna shoot him. Shoot him.
I was talking to Terry this week about right after I played the mission, or actually I was in the middle of the mission, and I had messaged her and I said they missed a perfect opportunity for another callback or reference to Enterprise, and that was in regards to that fleeting moment that we end up on Risa during the 22nd century. I said, wouldn't it be cool to throw in a reference or two calling back to 2 days and 2 nights, the episode where Enterprise visits Risa for the first time. I had initially thought, Malcolm and Trip, walking on the beach with those 2 alien chicks that turn out not to be chicks. But no, after further thinking about it, I realized, no, that wouldn't work. However, either a rock climber accident. A med team treating a rock climber who obviously would be Travis, or we can go with Hoshi and her little boy toy walking on the beach. Either one of those, strategically placed in that area, I thought would have been nice to see kind of from a distance, but, and it wouldn't have been overt, but, it would have been a nice callback to, if you're looking around and you see that, it's like, oh, sweet. But, for me, that would have been one little thing that I would have liked to have seen or added to the mission. But otherwise, it was just awesome.
I really enjoyed it. So I'm loving where the storyline is taking us. I'm having a good time with the Admiralty system. I'm actually I love the rewards on it. I've already received. I didn't realize you could get salvage technology from it. Easiest way to get salvage tech. Oh my god. I don't have to do freaking elite bullshit anymore. Thank you.
I went from like 20 to, like something like 20 of them up to like 4. I have over 40 now.
Wow, really?
And I've maxed out one of my the Klingon campaign, and I'm on like 9.5, level 9.5 on the Federation campaign. So. Give me more. I love this stuff.
I'm loving where it's going. And congrats to, again, everybody over at Star Trek Online and Cryptic. You're having a great time, and it's really beginning to show. Love the new ship. I think it's very pretty.
Quick question. Yeah. How many times in the Admiralty system, how many times have you used the passes?
I have only twice. Once on twice? 2 characters.
Okay.
And
I haven't used the pass yet.
Yeah. I try not to.
Yeah.
Because I really want some of those.
Exactly. And surprisingly, I'm surprised I don't fail more often. But yeah.
I have, to be honest with you, I have a lot of ships. I have a lot of ships, right? Because over the past 5 years of playing this game, I don't think there's very few ships I didn't purchase. So for me, it's just unlocking a whole bunch of crap. The problem I have is actually the cost of the dry dock space. So that's why I'm only doing the Admiralty system.
I have
three of my characters.
I have like 74 ships, which is a lot.
And that's easy to do everything on.
Yeah, but if that's playing on my Klingon. Now, if I was playing on my Fed side, granted, I haven't unlocked as many things on the Fed side as I have on the Klingon, but I would have even more ships available on my Fed side than I do on my Klingon.
Yeah. So there is one ship that I have fallen in love with, and it's killing me because I can't remember which one it is. It might be the new it might be one of the new science ships that you got, like one of the freebies. I don't remember which one it is. And it actually ignores the science event. So say you have an Admiralty mission that says, okay, you've got, say, 40 engineering, 40 tech, and 90 science, right? And then there's an event that's like wormhole, so it adds 75 science to it. So you need a ship that's got like 160 plus science, or maybe even 200 on science.
I hate those.
I always use that science ship because it wipes out the event requirement.
Wait, which ship is this?
I want to say it might be the Dyson. It might be the Dyson Science Warbird or the Dyson Science ship. It wipes out the science event requirement. It's brilliant. I save that ship, so when I get a science requirement that's got like a crazy event attached to it, that's the ship I assign it to, and it wipes out the science requirement on it. It's
interesting. Awesome. I'll have to.
Yeah, I've learned real well to read what the ship itself will affect your event on. So some of them will add science if it's used alone. They'll add points to it. So this ship actually just wipes out the requirement, which is brilliant.
Interesting.
Yeah. Well, I think that's good for games. We have, you wanted to talk a little bit about books. We've got a few minutes. Let's do it.
Tell me a Star Trek story. Book news.
Okay, I want to send congratulations to Kirsten Beyer and David Mack. They both have made the Locus bestseller list.
Oh, very cool.
So there's the link. It's let's see, I think it was first and third place. I'm checking for media related. Yeah, David Mack got first place, and then fourth place is Star Trek Voyager Atonement by Kristen Beyer. So congratulations to both of them.
Very cool. Did you happen to get that link of the silly 24 worst books of?
I did.
I laughed my ass off. I'm sorry, but that was hilarious.
Okay.
Nick, did you see this?
Mm-hmm.
You don't sound amused. It was funny. Okay then.
Yeah, some of them are kind of funny. Yes, I did get a laugh out of them.
I did. I got a laugh out of them. I think the one that cracked me up was the not just the Cisco's intervention, but the no, I gotta scroll down. There was the Star Trek slings and arrows. My mom got pregnant on my birthday.
Oh yeah,
that would make me laugh. So, what other news do we have in books? I know that Star Trek Costumes is still doing well. I know that the pop-up book is still doing well.
Yeah, and Terry and Paula are still bitter that people keep referring to the guy who kind of did the pop-ups as the writer rather than them. But
right.
Yeah, but congratulations to both of them. I mean, they're doing they do some great work, and I am glad that people are appreciating it because they deserve it. That's for sure. Let's see. Dayton had posted something on his blog about IDW. They are putting together from the 1960s and 1970s a book from the UK Star Trek comic strips.
Oh wow!
So that's pretty exciting. They did that with all of the U.S. strips a few years back, which Dayton was excited about as well. And now they're doing one for the UK strips, which are different than some of them that were released in the U.S. apparently. So look for that soon.
These are really cool. I had no idea that there was a completely separate set of comic books. That kind of surprises me, but that's really neat.
Newspaper strips, but it could be more than that. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it says years before the U.S. strips, Star Trek comics were appearing in a handful of different magazines published in the United Kingdom. Never published here in the U.S., the strips represent another all but long-lost chapter of Star Trek history.
Yep.
That is very, very cool. They look beautiful. That's neat. So, yeah, we'll have that link for you on our website as well. Is Miss Janet back yet?
Yes, I am.
Oh, good. Well, now that I know that we're leaving a lot on the editing room floor, Mike. Do we have anything specific that you absolutely have to talk about before we move into the 50 for 50?
What's new in the Star Trek universe? General news.
I want to address a piece of. Well, there's a couple things, but I want to address the guy in Washington for attacking his neighbor with a Klingon sword. Dude, really?
Boy.
It's shit like that makes Klingons all over the world look bad. I mean, really?
Good for you, Mike. Calling it out. Say, dude, you're making us look bad.
Okay.
Awesome.
So yeah. He's just reenacting how they act on the show.
Oh,
I'm stepping away from that throwdown.
Yeah.
Tell me I'm wrong.
Well, I think
Klingons aren't always attacking their neighbors for apparently stupid or no reason. But anyways, yeah.
Well, then what else, Mike? You said there were a couple of things.
Well, it's I guess product news.
I need more Star Trek stuff. Product news.
Oh, great. Okay.
Although it's not quite a product yet, but Doug Drexler, he shared on Facebook the prototype he received for the NX refit.
Oh, I saw that.
Very, very nice.
Isn't it beautiful? For those who do not know, the Eagle Moss collection that you get, it's kind of like the Ship of the Month club that you can join. It costs like $20 a month, and then you get 2 ships every other month. They're beautiful die-cast metal ships that are, I mean, they're really quality pieces. And they never really extend much more than, say, 4.5 or 5 inches in length. They're very small. And Doug Drexler's, how do we say this? It's the non-canon, though everybody says the non-canon, right?
Well, it's from the books. It's from
the books.
Enterprise novels from Rise of the Federation forward.
Right. So it's the NX refit, which actually shows the lower secondary hull, the lower portion of it. And it's a beautiful, beautiful piece, and it really does have like that idea that this is it's the evolution. It's kind of that missing link between the NX and the Constitution class.
Yeah.
No,
and
Constellation class.
It shows, how, why they went with like kind of like a modular design for their ships, because the NX, the original NX was kind of like becomes the saucer, and then they added the engineering section and with the nacelles and stuff, and so it kind of shows, again, like you were saying, the evolution from one design concept towards what we end up using or knowing as the Star Trek Federation ship designs.
What I'm really liking about this, though, is that is it not the first time we're going to see a Trek lit ship created for Eagle Moss, because we don't have the Vesta.
And I think the Titan is coming, but I think this is the first time we've actually seen
one. But it's great news for those of us who are fans of the ships that were created for the books to actually see that we're going to get a physical model of them, and it's great news, and hopefully shows more hope for those of us who do want the Titan or the Luna class and the Vesta class. So huzzah!
Didn't the ship appear in the Ships of the Line calendar first before it appeared in the book?
Yes,
I think so. Okay, so yeah, that's awesome. So congratulations to Doug Drexler, congratulations to Eagle Moss, congratulations to the books, and hopefully this means more.
I hope so too.
More, and I want to see Stowe ships in there too. So come on, guys.
Yeah, wouldn't that be awesome?
Expand your horizons. It's a big universe.
It's also, and for those who don't understand, it really is a bunch of legalese, because the people who design those ships are the ones who hold the rights to those ships, even under license. So that's what we're dealing with here. That those are, with the exception, I think, of the Luna class. I think the Luna class is owned outright by CBS. So is the Vesta, but there's the card back there
as well, I think. Right?
I just remember it took a while for Star Trek Online to be able to get the Vesta class in for that reason. So I'm assuming that Eagle Moss is running into the same issue here.
But I think like the Odyssey, I think that because of the way the contest was ruled, that's all Stowe's, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and that's the way it was with Titan as well. It was a contest.
Yeah.
So, and that's how Sean ended up winning. So it was a contest for the books.
Yep, there's the picture of the ship.
Isn't it cool? I just think it's cool looking.
Yeah.
It just makes sense. Yeah. I thought Janet would appreciate that. I think she's neat. Well, let's get to the 50 for 50.
What's your favorite episode? GNT shows 50 for 50.
We have some time this week, so yay. This week, we are going to be discussing, again, we're going to kind of reintroduce what the 50 for 50 is. 50 for 50 is a culmination of a poll that was completed by you, our listeners. Several months ago, we asked you to participate in a poll that allowed you to rate every single episode of Star Trek from the original series through Enterprise. We did not throw in, I don't believe we threw in the animated series. It's just the live action shows. And pursuant to the results of those polls and how you rated the quality of each individual episode, we have come up with the list of the top 50 Star Trek episodes to celebrate the 50th anniversary of Star Trek in 2016. Last week we discussed number 50 and number 49, which were number 50 was TNG's episode The Pegasus, and number 49, which was Enterprise's episode Twilight. And this week we're going to discuss number 48, which is Enterprise's episode 3, episode 19, Damage, and number 47, which is TN5, episode 8, which is Unification Part 2. So let's start with number 48. And it's probably one of the most a Damage, which is Enterprise's I want to call it a pivotal episode. I would say it's the first time, and it also causes a lot of consternation amongst Star Trek fans. So I'm pleasantly surprised to see this make the top 50, and yet kind of shocked that it did. Damage is the episode. If we're giving away spoilers, too bad. You should have seen it by now.
Tough.
Where we actually get to see Archer do something really, really horrible. And he does something really, really horrible. And it was the first time. That's when I realized I really hated Archer. He was okay, and then he did this, and I hate him. I just hate him. I was so upset. I was very upset after this. And essentially, Archer strands some people, steals their warp core so they can continue for the Xindi. It's a tough episode to watch. All right. Opening up the floor. Let's talk about it.
I think one of the greatest things about it is that the aliens that he strands are actually nice people.
Yeah.
You don't get a sense that, oh, they deserved it, or, oh, they were mean, or even that they were passive aggressive. They were, perfectly lovely people. They were actually sort of similar to the Zerillians, who you see in, I think it's the first season, which is the one where Trip gets pregnant.
Yeah.
Those people were nice. They were sharing their technology. They were really pleasant. They just had, they needed something fixed, and we helped them, and on they go. Here, these folks need something fixed. We can't help them because we're even more screwed up. And what we do instead is we turn around and we completely strand them.
Yeah.
I actually would have almost liked to have seen the Zerillians back. To bring them back, because after all, they're still sort of chugging along. So you bring them back. You've got Alen holding Trip's daughter and saying, damn you all to hell, to cross genres, and you're stranding us. That, I think, would have really kicked it.
Wow. I can't even imagine how I would have reacted had it been this I don't think there would have been enough bricks thrown at a television to make me feel better. I really don't. I was so upset about this episode. You have no idea. It was, I think, the first time Ellen and I watched it again. I watched all of Enterprise after it had already aired, so I watched them all on DVD. And this one came around, and I looked at Ellen and I was like, I can't believe that he crossed that line. And I hadn't even watched DS9 by this point, where I get to see that kind of same line crossed, that morality line crossed by another Star Trek captain. So this was the first time I had seen a Star Trek captain lose it. I mean, he just lost it. He loses his shit. And that whole question of morality and do the ends justify the mean really comes into play. And I thought it was, I can't say I hate the episode. I hate what the character does. The episode is so powerful that I can understand why so many people rated it high enough to make top 50. Mike, what's your take on the episode?
Well, there was a lot going on in this episode. I mean, a lot. And there was the ramifications of it. I mean, we got to see drug-addled
oh my God.
T'Pol. We got to see her and her heroin addiction.
To space insulation, right?
Yeah, space asbestos. So we got to see that, and then finally, when she's starting to get treated, she actually approaches Jonathan. When he decides to make the decision about crossing the line, she ends up telling him, once you justify crossing that line once, it becomes easier to cross that line again. And, powerful. I mean, very true as well. So, I can see why it made the list, although it is a very dark episode. The ship is falling apart. I mean, they're on the verge of losing their mission, failing at their mission. So the stakes have never been higher, and it's like, yeah.
I think that's Nick. What's your initial take on the episode? I know that you get
the scene that stuck with me the most was T'Pol in the EV suit, digging through to get to the drugs. I really thought that was way more compelling than the other stuff.
Oh, that's interesting.
I appreciated how, once she had the stuff and she went back to the lab, and the way that she was all twitchy, it's like, I know people like that, who have, whose need for whatever is so great that, they're just, that was like, wow.
Alan in the chat room, he says, he believed that if the series had gone on longer, it would have been interesting to see them go back maybe to help the species that was victimized. But the relationship was so damaged that they created a new nemesis. That was always the biggest thing about Enterprise that I felt was sadly lost when the show ended, was the fact that you never really got to see the ramifications of this and how this would have played greatly, I think, into the creation of the Prime Directive. Would you not agree, Janet?
Oh yeah. I mean, you would have. And it's also kind of this 2020 hindsight where folks in the coalition would have said, well, you shouldn't have done that, and to have Archer kind of screaming back at them and saying, you wouldn't have an Earth without this, you idiots.
Yeah.
And to perhaps have that kind of an argument and that kind of a conversation, also because we know he's going to become the president of the coalition.
Right.
So to know that, to set up that kind of a conflict with them, and to maybe even make it difficult for him to work with them would be a way to comment on contemporary politics also, which is something that Trek very often does well, in sort of this backdoory kind of way where they can talk about what's going on Earth, or rather in America for the most part. And if you could have had a scene like that where he's basically screaming at those self-righteous sons of bitches, and maybe even using that terminology and saying, you weren't there, you didn't even realize, you're sitting here on your high horse in your comfortable mm-hmm. room, and you had no idea what we were up against, and yeah, we feel sorry, and yeah, this was horrible, and I'm getting fucking therapy for this, people, but in the meantime, this is why you're here.
There was oh, go ahead.
Building on my my view about Phlox, and from the episode where he justifies genocide, did you guys catch that he has admitted he's done a couple of unethical things in his career in this episode?
Yes.
Oh mm-hmm. yeah. Mm-hmm. And I said to myself, that's one of them. At least I hope that that's what he thinks is one of them. Maybe it's not. Maybe there's another one.
Going back to what Janet was saying a few moments ago about the ramifications, later in I think it's the beginning of next season, after the Temporal War is done and they've saved Earth, and they're kind of like being debriefed, Archer is questioned about, everything that they've done, but it's a bigger deal about what they had done regarding the Vulcans and the Vulcan ship, rather than what they had done with these people. And it seems like that should have somehow received equal time, if not more.
But here's the reason why it wouldn't have been, is because who was he being questioned by?
True, he was being questioned by the Vulcans.
And really, when it comes down to it, it shows the bias that, as long as it's not really us that it's affecting, then it's that same thing where it's like, okay, well, those are people that aren't us, so we don't really care, but we care about us, and we're made up of these people, and so really that's what matters. It's a heavy episode. Yes, it's very dark, but it really, I think, did a lot of what I had always hoped Enterprise would do, and that was raise these questions about how the hell did we survive this kind of bullshit to that kind of, how did they survive to create the coalition? How does the coalition survive its own self for the first portion of it? It never ceases to amaze me how much I believe Enterprise's ending is a tragedy for television, because it's episodes like this that really kind of make you kind of, wow, they had the freedom to be able to discuss these kinds of things, to have darker episodes with that freedom of repercussion that they didn't have in the post United Federation of Planets kind of television. And it was sad. It was sad. And every time we talk about another Enterprise episode, I get bummed because it's not on.
Agreed. Well, it also, like in TOS, they say, oh yeah, we had the World War III and yada yada yada, and then there's a federation and all that stuff, and we're so far past that there's no sense of how it was created. It's like, oh yeah, we just sort of slough it off. All right, we're fine. And I mean, the potential of Enterprise, the idea behind it, and the network suits kind of voted it down, and they were having problems with UPN and all that other stuff. I mean, I've read like probably just about everything on this. At least I think I have. But what they should have been telling is, and what they are telling in this episode, is all the crap that happened, all the horrible stuff that happened. Look what we got past. I mean, and here's where actually the theme song almost makes sense, where Russell Watson is singing, it's been a long time getting from there to here. It's not just a long time, it's been a very difficult time.
Yeah.
And to have gotten past something that is as hard as this, there were dead bodies in this. And you never saw that in TOS, for example. Oh, we kill off a red shirt, goodbye. We don't even bother. Nobody sees him again. Nobody fucking cares. And instead here, there's bodies under sheets, and there's a remorseful captain who knows that this is something that happened because of a decision that he made, and knows that these are young people with their lives ahead of them, and they're not going to get to live them, and he carries that on his conscience, and he becomes a harder person. Star Trek Into Darkness, the film, goes into darkness for no good reason. This episode and this season of this series goes into darkness for a very good reason.
Yeah, I agree. I thoroughly agree. And what a great call on Star Trek Into Darkness was. Again, I don't mind darker or more powerful morality questions in a screenplay, as long as I understand that there is a reason for it, right? And while this episode Damage made me really, really dislike Archer, because he was so fallible, and because he was, in my opinion, so weak. Here he was, not even looking for an alternative. He really didn't look. And here he was so open to dealing with what was his name, Degran, and the idea that that Degran might actually be open, and that was the dichotomy of it, right? It was like he was so hopeful that Degran, he might have gotten through to him, and then he might have gotten through to the idea that Degran might not want to use the Xindi weapon against Earth, and yet didn't even allow himself that same hope. And it was really just he turned into just a tragic character in that.
And that there's more than one side to him. There's more than one way for him to be, where he's trying to be open and honest and friendly and caring with Degra, and then he's closing off with this other person. So he has the ability, and to be not so nice, you could say that he's two-faced. But the truth is, this is also this is the dimension of everybody. We all treat people differently. We don't even necessarily try to, but we treat everybody unequally because everybody has an unequal relationship with us.
Right. My problem was
is different from how I treat you.
Well, that's true, but I also happen to think that there is a consistency to how you treat people over a period of time. I'm less akin to believing that about in this particular character, where I do think that he's so wrapped up in the importance of his own species, in the importance of his idea that he's willing to act in a based kind of way. And that is, he does break from how he normally treated people in order to achieve a goal, and brings in that whole idea of do the ends justify the means? Was he our best representative, or was he the species' best representative, or even the coalition's best representative of what they stood for? And no, he wasn't. He threw it all away. And he threw it all away because he felt that the survival of his ship needed survival more than another, and therefore were more important. Would we all be in that same situation? Would we all have acted in the same way? I don't know. Many would, yes. I would hope I would not. I would, and that's the one thing that a lot of Star Trek fans really hated about this episode, was the fact that it shows that fallibility of the human species in a way that later on we were supposed to have overcome. And they, once again, not realizing that this was a show that was supposed to reflect that earlier point of how did we get from where there, right? Like you were saying, this shows that the mistakes that were made at evolution. It's a tough episode for me to watch. It really is. And to be honest with you, I had to turn it off before he sends them on their way, because I can't deal with it, because I hate him so much. I hate him so much. I get so emotional when I think about what he did to those people. I think, God, how could you? Seriously. So, yeah.
The more I've rewatched TOS, and the more I watch Kirk, the angrier I get about Kirk, because he's too perfect. He's too smart. He's too this. He's too that, and he's just the biggest Mary Sue character ever. And I mean, yes, he has issues, and I don't dispute that, and they get into them much better in the films. But Archer, at least, is a real human being, and he screws up, royally, and he does things that are unfair, and he does things that are prejudiced. He does things that are stupid, and a lot of people, they make fun of Archer. They don't like him because of this, that, because of all of that. But the truth is, that's the way most people are. Yeah, that's what I find sad is that I don't see him as a character I would ever want to have somebody look up to. I don't see him as a character that inspires. I see him as a character that reflects. Yeah. And there's the difference. Is I don't see him as I don't want to have. He's not a hero to me. He's not a hero. He is somebody that got lazy, and I really I hate people who don't try.
Well, the Kirk thing, a lot of that also has to do with television at the time.
Definitely.
Because in the 60s, action adventure, Kirk Shatner was the star, and reading These Are the Voyages sheds a lot of light on what went on behind the scenes, and kind of reveals why Kirk ended up getting so much attention on him, where he does become this Mary Sue, as you had described him. So again, a lot of that has to do with the show at the time. But yeah, Archer, he's a much more realistic character, in that he is flawed, and we do see his flaws and the mistakes that he makes and whatnot. But again, that also shows about the evolution of television since the original series.
Well, that's true too.
So
definitely, you can't just look at it in a vacuum.
That's true. Well, Nick, do you have anything to add to it, or are you just gonna beg out of this entire conversation?
No, you guys covered it.
That's not like him. He's usually the one jumping in and kind of going, "Oh, Terry, you're fucked up and wrong."
He prefers long-haired to Paul.
That is true. Well, the next episode we are going to discuss is number 47, Unification, Star Trek Next Generation, Season 5, Episode 8, Unification Part 2. Last week we made the decision as a group that we would discuss two-parters on an individual basis. If both episodes made the top 50, then, or even if they didn't, we would just discuss that portion of the two-parter. And so in this case, we're only going to be discussing Unification Part 2, but of course we're going to have to reference Part 1 just for grounding's sake, so to speak. Mike, you want to take the lead on this one?
I can. I had watched the Part 1 and Part 2. I know that we were only going to discuss Part 2, but I wanted, that anchor. And in this episode, the Enterprise is sent to go track down Spock, who no one quite knows whether he defected or what's going on with him. And later we find out that he actually is trying to broker peace between the the Romulan Empire and the Federation. But when I was watching it, I had the feeling that here what came to my mind was, okay, here we have another instance of a Vulcan out of their Vulcan mind. Because we saw T'Pol losing her shit because of Trillium, and now here we have Spock going on a quote unquote insane mission where no one is really aware what he's trying to do, and stuff. So I kind of saw those two episodes kind of in that kind of light, but his intentions again are in the right place. He's trying to do something that is going to help the Federation become stronger, ensure its survival, but it doesn't exactly work out as he planned. And again, there's also the B storyline of the Enterprise trying to track down the what happened to that Vulcan, the deflector of a Vulcan ship, which we find out is also related to the main storyline, which was a Romulan invasion of Vulcan and the Federation. So again, there was so much going on. I thought it was very interesting.
Go ahead.
One of the interesting things about this episode that I'm not sure how many people know is this episode was produced after The Undiscovered Country was filmed, but came out before it so that it would tie in with the movie. So like when in Undiscovered Country, Spock talks about the peace talks and the consequences, that was like a little teaser for The Undiscovered Country.
Oh, interesting.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Neato.
Did not know about the timing on that. That's cool.
Yeah.
So, Nick,
and they actually filmed Unification 2 before Unification 1 because of Leonard Nimoy's schedule.
Oh, funny, I didn't know that. So,
wow.
As a fan though of the Romulans, this is gonna set. Go ahead.
Sela has the worst plan in history. She's so idiotic.
She is kind of a bimbo.
I'm going to send 3 ships to Vulcan. Really? What was it? 2,000 troops?
Yeah, against a couple billion.
We had more than 2,000 troops in Baghdad. Okay.
Yeah, that's not the greatest invasion force.
That's the one thing that cracks me up about Star Trek writers to a degree is the fact that they don't really think about numbers, right? I mean,
it's not like, Romulans don't have cloaking devices, so they could have sent more ships just under cloak and just using,
well, the
three
Derdex doesn't hold many people, so it's a small, it's a tiny little thing.
Yeah.
It only holds 10,000 people and plus, or it's like 2,000 plus 6,000 troops.
If you're going to send 2,000 ground troops, that's fine, but there's 20 Derdex going with it to bombard from the sky.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
And they could have very easily have been there, under cloak, using the 3 as a distraction, or as look at me, look at this hand over here while I poke you in the eye and with the other, kind of sort of thing. But
however, from a Romulan's point of view, think of how shocking, I guess you could say, what's the word I'm really looking for?
Devious?
Yeah. How devious Spock and his actions are. Holy shit.
Oh, I
know?
wouldn't say devious. I think to them it would be...
I'm trying to think of the appropriate word. Insidious. Thank you. Absolutely.
It would be like somebody, and this is not a perfect analogy, so forgive me, but somebody, a South Korean Christian missionary in North Korea trying to spread the word of, up there. Oh my God, do you know what they would do to him or her?
Exactly. I couldn't agree more. The idea that...
because that's what he's doing. He's spreading the philosophy. And so that's why I use the Christian missionary. He's spreading the Vulcan philosophy.
Well,
and you can see
or even an American philosophy, right? You two belong together.
He's fanning the flames.
That's easy. Yeah. Just give them an Xbox,
He's fanning the flames, because there's already at least a small, movement or a small spark of the unification movement on Romulus.
There always is. In any closed society, though, that's the beauty of it. There always is. No matter how rigidly, tightly controlled it is. So even something like North Korea, which I think you could say is the most closed place on the planet, there's still people who desire it. So, I thought that was an interesting way of having him, doing it.
I think that I don't know how you would feel about this, but do you think the story would have been better served had the B story not been a part of it? That Sela wasn't necessarily doing something as devious. That if she was just operating
as a counterintelligence type of thing.
Right.
I think that would have been an excellent role for Sela in a countering, because to me that's more what she should be doing. These big invasion plans and everything. Okay, sit down, Blondie. You failed in everything you've done.
Right.
Let's give you something way more grounded in counterintelligence.
I think that the writers wanted to make her look super evil, and in doing so came up with this idea of, let's make her do something really stupid, like try to invade Vulcan.
Like Cousteau.
Yeah.
But I also think it would have given Sela, it would have been the villain who operates in the shadows with chess moves rather than the big dramatic playing risk. I'm going for it all to take South America in this one turn. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know who's the worst risk player? The one who makes little moves here and little moves there and can strike up deals with the, two other players, and then 3 turns later turns on them and stuff like that. And the next thing you know, you're going, dude, you've got fucking all of Europe?
Yeah.
How'd that happen?
That's exactly right. It's the person who sees the strategic importance of a very small island. The person who sees the strategic
the person who gets Australia first in Risk because they can build from there.
Are you playing global Risk? Because I always thought, what was it that Alan always said? Getting involved in a land war in Asia?
Yeah. Oh God. Try and keep Kamchatka. Go ahead.
But yeah, I think it did a disservice to Sela's character. That B story, it could have made her look.
Yeah, because even her actions during the Klingon Civil War, behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Pulling strings.
Yeah.
This was just way too brazen. The behind the scenes, the pulling.
It was
strings,
very un-Romulan.
It was, and there was never really any. Again, you talked about blowback from the previous from Damage. Never any blowback really from the Romulans trying to invade Vulcan. Oh, those silly Romulans! They were going to do it, but they just blew up their troops and went home.
Yeah, you do sort of wonder. There's got to be a consequence to that.
That's an act of war.
Yeah.
For the Federation. And it was like there were 2,000 people on that ship. Oh, and it's terrible.
And yet the Romulans didn't really punish her or do anything to her, because it seemed like she remained, she kept her position and continued to on this streak of one bad decision after another.
Well, I think the beautiful thing about that is that the character Sela is so slippery that you could just see her blaming it on someone else.
Oh, true.
Yeah. Well, that is true.
you know what I mean? It's like, now the other side of this is the beauty of the mind meld. at the very end.
Yes.
It's sad.
Yeah.
It's sad. The idea that that Spock, needs to be able to obtain information about his father through somebody else.
But he learns how much Sarek loved him.
Yeah.
Finally, he learns after his father has died, and he's.
And what I thought was even more appropriate was that the emotion was filtered through a human. So his human half was able to appreciate that just, I think, so much more, because it wasn't just the cold Vulcan form of it, but it had that human filter before it even got to him. So I think it was even more moving, in my opinion.
Wait,
never really thought about it. What was that, Nick?
Say that again? I missed part of it.
Oh, I was just saying that I thought it was even more moving because it was filtered through Picard. It had that human filter applied to, the cold Vulcan emotion. So So I thought that was even more moving because it would have affected Spock's Vulcan portion, half even more so.
Oh, is his human side?
Yeah.
I can see that. I didn't even think about it in that way either. I just thought it was actually kind of a bit more bittersweet that the fact that he had to get that information through somebody else, that he missed that opportunity to get directly from his father.
Yeah.
Now, here's a question for you regarding physics.
Okay.
So
do we need to get James Kerwin on the line?
No, but they do this thing where they have the holographic walls, so Sela doesn't know that they're there. Wouldn't the room be smaller? Because they've got to make it big enough to hide them, but still look like there's a wall there. So wouldn't the room be smaller?
Yeah, but I guess if it's a hologram, they can also make it look. They can adjust the way light refracts off of it, so it looks like it's not taking up any space.
Wouldn't she hear them breathing, or at least smell them a little bit?
That's a really good one. That's a really good point. Considering that
Vulcans
their
smell dusty.
Their sense of smell is supposed to be so good.
And Picard's got the wine farts.
Oh my god!
On that happy note.
Oh my god!
It's a high-class discussion, folks.
No, but that always bugged me that it would seem like the wall would have to be at least 2 feet in, just for them to lean against the wall.
Yeah, but you also have to keep in mind the holodeck. It's an enclosed space, yet they can make you can make it look like you're outside. So I think you can fudge the optics on it to where it looks like the room is actually full size. But anyways,
it's magic.
Holographic technology is magic. But one thing about this episode that should be mentioned is that there's a lot of things that happen in it that end up being explored and expanded. And I do use the word expanded for a reason, significantly so, in Star Trek Online.
Yeah,
very much.
And not the least of which is Datan is in this.
Mm-hmm.
But the other thing that really impressed me about not just part 2, but also part 1, but mostly is the fact that you get to see, really for the first time, Romulan life.
Yes.
That's true. We got to see daily life.
The shopkeeper watching them intently as they eat their soup.
And
you don't know if it's because she's nervous or it's because she wants to rat them out.
Right.
Yeah, and the fact that the Tal Shiar are always watching, and she's like, it's almost like a game or a form of entertainment. The fact that the Tal Shiar, it could be watching, and as she's keeping her nose clean, but she knows her neighbors aren't. So it becomes like sort of a game or some fun, because what are they up to?
No, I would never take it as fun because talking with some of the people that I served with in Baghdad that had been there, they were soldiers. It was terrifying. You had to watch every word you said when you were buying cigarettes or getting coffee or tea. Or you just had to watch every word you said, and it induces a level of paranoia that we hear.
Okay.
You know, we think with Big Brother watching and everything, we really don't understand what it's like to really have Big Brother watching. Whereas just making a face if somebody says, "Oh, you know, did you see the latest announcement by the Praetor?" and someone just makes a face that could be construed as disloyal, that it could be enough to get them taken away.
Good point.
It's a horrifying situation.
And
That's fascism.
And I can see how that how their reaction, their willingness to help or to stay out of it, or to kind of like almost seemed like she was like had this getting a sense of pleasure from the fact that someone else was being watched, you know, or
like. And have you ever seen Spartacus, Mike?
It would have been a long time ago if I had. And I think
because if you look, you can definitely see the Roman influence here, because you have the Senate, which is elected by the people, much like Rome. But yet you also have the leader, who is the ultimate in charge. You know, Gaius Julius Caesar, Gaius, you know, Caligula, all of those, and you look at it and you see how they modeled it on the Romans.
Were the and pardon my naivete as far as that portion of history, but were they just as paranoid?
They could be. It depended on the emperor, because like under Julius Caesar, not so much. Caligula, very much.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, Caligula, you know, there's a lot out there, and of course a lot of people think about the horrific movie that was made, but his depths into insanity really did lend to that kind of fear. You know, most people don't realize Caligula was only like 24 years old by the time he was killed.
Wow.
Yeah, he was only in charge for, what was it, 1,400 days, something like that.
Yeah, it was like 3 years, just about, something like that.
But the amount of paranoia that he went in. But you had different emperors in Rome that, you know, Julius Caesar was actually, the word.
God, talk about pardon me for saying so, but talk about the modern day relationship, and you think about North Korea as like a young person thrust with a whole bunch of power, and that desperation to hold on to that power.
Well, in Caligula's case, the emperor before him, Tiberius, had banished his mother and then had his family killed and did all this, but then knowing he would need an heir, took in Caligula to be the heir, and a lot of it was because this kid was like 10 years old when this happened, watching his family be killed. So yeah, it's the real story of Caligula is a fascinating story to read, and part of it is because he became the way he did because the Senate always looked down on him. Who is this kid? You know, in all of this. And so in an effort to prove, hey, I'm the man, he threw these even more lavish parties and even more expensive things. But he also, you know, every Roman emperor had to do something to prove their military worth. Well, he was going to launch an invasion of England, which he didn't do. But see, a lot about Caligula is interesting because the people that wrote the history, he was erased basically from the Roman histories after his reign because it was so horrible towards the end.
Wow.
And then they had to reconstruct it after. But you saw the obelisk at St. Peter's in Rome, right, Terry, at Vatican City?
Repeat that one sentence again.
The obelisk at at Vatican City.
There's so much.
The one that looks like the Washington Monument right in front of the door.
Yes.
That's the one he had built.
Yeah,
Caligula had that.
Interesting. I didn't realize that. I had been there. I don't think we even. God, did we even discuss that? We didn't. When we took the tour of the Vatican, I have to tell you, there's a
lot there.
They downplay a lot of their connection. Well, as you can imagine, they downplay a lot of their connection with pretty much everything that was done by the church. Or by the Romans throughout a lot of history. They just try to. They turned it into a big art museum. So there you go.
What we saw from Romulus and Nemesis,
yes,
was directly built upon from the first views we had in Unification 2.
That's true. I guess I'll still never really quite understand where the art directors came from when they decided to put that logo in the floor of the Romulans.
I really like that logo.
and as much as I adore it, I really, really like it. I just don't.
Think about it this way. Think about the old.
I just don't see
Greece.
North Korea as having a big logo in the middle of its Senate floor that has the DMZ in it.
No, but the Romans with their maps of the conquered world.
True. Oh, if you twist it, maybe you're right.
Because
they say the DMZ, that's something we don't have yet.
They had the British Isles on there even though they hadn't conquered it.
Oh.
That was because their DMZ was basically the English Channel.
Okay. Okay. I'll run with that theory. I'll just... Okay, that makes more sense now. Because I was having a hard time believing that one. I was like, I just don't see the Romulans really... really caring all that much, but now it makes much more sense.
Is it Malachi Throne who played Pardek?
Oh God, what a great character!
What a great actor! What
a great character too. Pardek is an unfortunate puppet.
Yeah,
just that unfortunate puppet, and it was kind of interesting to see. Pardon me, how you end up liking a character and then at the same time at the end just but I love where Datan ends up in.
One thing about that episode is I always want soup afterwards.
That's not plomeek soup. It just looks kind of foul, doesn't it?
And he looks at eat your soup. I'll just kind of shovel it in.
Yeah. Well, one thing about this episode was that it gave us Melota, the Klingon opera. So, and it sounds like dogs screeching.
Oh my God, I forgot about that entire scene.
Yeah, it's not a very memorable scene.
Well, yeah, it is. It totally
you want to forget it.
Yeah, Riker can hit on anyone.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, how many hands did she have?
4.
Enough, baby.
2 to stroke the
that's
beard,
right.
2 to stroke the beard.
That's exactly right. That's what I'm thinking. Riker's like, yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
I think that's where I was like, okay, I adore this man. There is no such thing as no, and that's awesome. If there is anybody who disses Riker for, I just say no. He's like television's first pansexual.
Yeah,
that's right. He really is.
And Paul points out
go ahead.
The fat Ferengi. Yeah, we got to see a fat Ferengi in the episode as well.
Okay.
And then, of course, the lovely Janice with her. This does not help dissuade her view that every time she sees Riker, she thinks he should be scratching his balls.
Well, that is true.
That works for me, yeah.
Digging deep in there, getting that shit out.
Ooh.
That's so wrong.
You know he's had to have at least one case of crabs. That's all I'm saying.
Space crabs.
Space crabs on top of it, yeah. Literal crabs, right?
Please don't make that the title of this show.
Space crabs.
Space crabs?
Yes.
Speaking of space crabs,
okay.
To my doppelganger brother Nick, I want one of those for Christmas. He knows what I'm talking about.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's all I'll say.
Huh?
I'll be waiting. I'll put it in the office.
The thing that would give
the life-size egg from Alien.
Yeah, it would give Kirsten Beyer nightmares for the rest of her life.
Yeah, the thing that would give Kirsten Beyer and me nightmares for the rest of my life. Oh crap! That was a good book, though. I'll tell you, good book.
Alan just posted one of the, probably in my opinion, one of the funniest lines from that episode. I never learned to speak hypothetical.
Well, I really enjoyed Unification Part 2. I really enjoyed, well, no, that's not true. I didn't enjoy Damage, but I really, I appreciate the fact that it went somewhere that no Star Trek had gone before. And these 2 episodes...
I will say I enjoyed Unification 1 more than Unification 2.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to discussing it.
Even though Spock wasn't in Unification 1.
True.
But the intrigue of it was very cool.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that. I'm sure if
one
is down.
One is definitely on the list. I can say that with confidence.
And which is probably why it got ranked higher. So...
So we have 2 more episodes to discuss, not next week, but the week after, because we are not. Oh goodness, you know what? Let me think of this real quick. It won't be until December 13th for me, because we're not going to be doing a show for Thanksgiving, and I'm
Next
going to
week.
be in New York on the 6th. So my next show won't be till the 13th. So guys, you have 2 weeks. Matter of fact, it would be nice if we could do 4 episodes. Do you think we could do that?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll need to get numbers 44 and 43 from Alan if you can. Great. What? Go ahead.
4 episodes.
Sure.
So we're not gonna have a discussion of any news that week.
Oh, well, we can. We just have to be snappy. We can do it.
Okay.
Oh, Mikey. He's like, we're gonna be
I'm
fine.
I'm a worrier, and
You're gonna have to understand. We'll be fine because
Okay.
really, with it, I don't know. He yelled at me. I don't know what he said. He's
We
coming
can
down the hall.
probably load up more.
Oh dear,
on
he's
the
coming
6th.
down the hall.
So number 46, just to get the first 2 off of the list. Number 46 is DS9 Season 4 Episode 2, The Visitor.
Oh,
Nice.
And number 45 is Enterprise Season 4 Episode 13, United.
nice.
So
Okay.
those are number 46 and number 45 are for the next 2 episodes. I think he just came down. And number 44, is a lot of Enterprise in this section of the top 50.
Yeah, I was going to comment on that. It's like,
I think it's just because of the way that everybody ranked them. You have to remember is because we ranked them, not every episode got 5 stars. So it's the episodes that consistently ranked 5 stars from the people who voted for them end up at the rows to the top. So a lot of episodes that people mixed and matched. So there might have been a lot of people ranked it a 4, or a lot of people some people ranked it a 4, and a lot of people ranked it as a 5. It's just the way that they all averaged out, weighting that. So number 44 is Enterprise Season 4, Episode 8, Awakening, and this will be an interesting one. Number 43 is TNG 6th season episode 11 Chain of Command part 2.
By the way, Janice has finished her viewing of TNG. She's now onto Voyager.
She is into Voyager, and she said that the woman with the funny ears was intriguing. I thought that was very cute. I'm loving her live tweets of it.
I'm rewatching Voyager right now. In addition to watching these episodes, but I find it very interesting that out of every pairing that we've done so far, there's been an Enterprise episode attached to that pairing. I just find that interesting.
It's the way that they kind of, like I said, the way they all kind of shook out, which I'm loving. I'm loving to see that Enterprise got such a great response in our polls. It means that people filled them out, which was great.
I think Janice needs to join us for Chains of Command because of her absolutely insane stance on Jellicoe.
Hey, we don't want to gain up on the poor girl.
Well, no, I mean she has an opinion. She's allowed to express it, and that's cool. We just, when I very first watched it, I think I had the same opinion of her, and then I grew up.
That was not me, dear. That was not me.
I had the same opinion of Jellicoe too.
Her point of view is I understand it, and I totally understand where she's coming from.
Yeah,
I disagree.
I just disagree. That's exactly it. I will look forward to having Miss Janice with us as well. So again, we will have. I don't know if Nick and Mike will want to do a show without me on the 6th. If they can, that'd be great. But for the 13th of December, we will pick up with the 50 for 50 again, and we will be discussing the following 4 episodes. DS9 Season 4, Episode 2, The Visitor, which is number 46 on our list. And number 45 on our list was Enterprise Season 4, Episode 13, United. Then Episode 8 of Enterprise's Season 4, Awakening, which is number 44 on our list. And number 43 on our list is Chain of Command Part 2, TNG's Season 6, Episode 11. Until, boy, it's going to be a while since I get to really sit down and talk with you guys. But until then, have a wonderful, wonderful Thanksgiving, everyone. Where are you off to, Nick? Are you going to be
I'm going up to New Jersey, and my parents are going to be there, and Janice is going to come down, and then we are going to also celebrate my grandmother's 98th birthday.
Oh, wow.
Right on.
Very cool. Happy birthday, Grandma. That's very cool. Alan and I will be sticking around the house. What about you, Janet?
I am going to Long Island to visit the original Klingons, and so we're going to have a Targ stuffed turkey. The Targ is still going to be alive, so it's going to be kind of interesting. You have to bob and weave as you try to eat. My parents are losing their dexterity as they get older. You know, it's going to be real interesting. It's a fair fight now.
Targ and vodka.
Oh, no.
Precisely.
And Mike, I'm assuming you get the big family thing?
Yeah, as usual, huge family gathering. So, yeah, it's going to be
It's like
crazy.
20 plus people for you, isn't it?
It's closer to like 80 plus people.
Oh, my God.
My boss has, like, basically every holiday, at least 80 people. She's one of, like, 8 kids.
Oh, my gosh. That's so amazing. That's actually really fun. I remember when our family was big. When they're all in Michigan now, and I don't get to go up there. Well, okay.
Speaking of Michigan,
yes?
That's close to Chicago. Hi, Lisa Marie.
You got it in.
You got it in. That's great. Well, thanks you guys for joining us this week. I look forward to joining back up with you on December 13th. But until then, have a great and wonderful Thanksgiving, and love you all very much. Live long and prosper.
Kabla.
Have a great Thanksgiving. See ya.
Happy Thanksgiving, Joel on True Cunts.
Music for the GNT show is provided by 5 Year Mission, Enterprise Blues Band, Warp 11, Andrew Allen, and Greth Thor. The GNT show is a BLB production.
Move ahead, walk back to 10. Put a mini skirt on my yo man. Represent the human race. And we make space a happy place. To boldly go where no man's gone before. I think I sang that line once before, but I'm not too sure. We'll be so happy, can't you see? A zero-G community. Gonna travel to new worlds. Beam on down and meet some green girls. Gonna see what we can see. A fancy-free galaxy. To boldly go where no man's gone before. I think I sang that line once before, but I'm not too sure. We'll be so happy, can't you see? A zero-G community. Come and take a tour with me. There'll be no cons or Kobayashi.